Bonjour, bonjour all. Today is Sunday, November 10th, also known as exactly 4 weeks until we are back inside Notre Dame. And so we're doing our little weekly check-in, give you some updates on what's been happening in the news around Notre Dame and what to expect in the next few weeks. But as you can see, compared to last week, there's been a lot more work done. It looks like a majority of the stones are already laid here in the front. They were changing the way that the stones were put in. Here you can see in front of us, it's very straight across, and it's going to go diagonal in front of the church. So that looks like that is pretty much complete in most of the area, because you can see where it has some tarps laid down on top of it, and then there's just a little specific walkway to get into the church. All such exciting news. Also, something this week that happened, if you I've shared it quite a few times in my stories, but I know that it also made the news around the world, was that the bells, all of the bells of the North Tower, the 8 bells, rang out on Thursday morning about 10:30 a.m. here in Paris. Those rang out for the first time since the fire of 2019. Also this week, 3 new bells have been added into the church. They will be the bells that will ring every day on the hour between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. And those will start to ring here in the next week or so, each day. So that's, again, also quite exciting. Those bells don't have names. So the church bells that have names are the 8 of the North Tower and the 2 of the South Tower, which is Emmanuel and Marie. Emmanuel being the oldest, dating back to the 17th century. But the other bells, they don't have names. The names come specifically from when they were actually christened, and they were given names of the people that have something to do with the church. There's a Denis, a Saint-Denis, Geneviève. Emmanuel was actually installed under Louis XIV. So that is how old that bell is. It's in that South Tower. And I've done a podcast and also some videos all about the bells and the names and where they came from and the history of the bells. The bells of the North Tower just date back to 2013, so they're not as old, but when they do redo these bells, because they have to be redone usually every 60 to 80 years, what they do is they melt down the old ones, and they use that the same metal to make the new ones. So kind of they're still the same that they go through over time, but the North bells rung for the first time. The work on the belfry still has some things that they still need to do, because when they did the construction in there to replace some of the parts of the belfry that had been damaged in the fire or just damaged over time, they noticed that the wood that was between the masonry, so of the stone, and the belfry was in pretty bad shape in spots, so that had to be completely changed too. So they're still doing work on that. I'm not quite sure what the white tarps, I believe that that's just because those are open behind it, and so that's probably how they were also doing some of the work and getting some of the bells in. And there is a little bit of scaffolding there on the base of the South Tower, but she's looking pretty great. She's always looked pretty good from up here. But around the side, and the scaffolding, there's scaffolding still up, and most of the scaffolding that you see up now is the scaffolding that's going to remain for a while, especially the scaffolding on the back, because that's what they're going to still be working on after the cathedral opens. But here, I'll zoom in so you could really get a look at the forecourt down here. And what I noticed, because I just did a quick little video when I first got here, that even when you film it very slow, it's amazing how fast it looks when you rewatch it. So I'll go really, really slow. You know, this is also for all those little ones that love to look at tractors and construction equipment. But look at that. That is the center door is the Last Judgment door. And that is going to be the new entrance. You used to enter in there on the right, the Saint Anne door. But now we will be entering through the center and exiting through Saint Anne. Oops. Come on now. Lots to change where it focuses. A lot of the containers that were here, the huge containers that go on, you know, a container for a ship or onto the back of a semi. A lot of those, some have been removed, but some have just been moved over to the south side of the church. And also the south is the right bank. So just think, when you think of north and south, just think of the north being Sacré-Cœur and the south being the Jardin de Luxembourg. And that's a good way to remember north and south in Paris. But she's looking pretty great. They have this little fence up here because when they brought the bells, so there was 3 bells that they added that were brand new, 2 of which had been rung through the Olympics and the Paralympics, and that was never the plan. They just had those bells at the games, at the athletics or track and field, and it started after with rugby when the French team rung the bell. He went up and they rang the bell when they won the gold, and so then it was just something that every athlete did after that. So it was the one that was in the Stade de France, and it kind of took off and became a new thing that all the gold medal winning athletes did. And so then they decided to put those here in the church to mark and remember that occasion. The other day, one of the bishops actually blessed the bells, and then the gentleman, Tony, that was in charge of the president of the Olympic Games here in Paris, he was here as well. So it's pretty cool. It's going to be in there forever. And hopefully maybe now we could turn the page on the Olympics and finally take down all of the things in Paris and still say Paris 2024. But if they're still up in January, we're really going to get annoyed. And when I say we, I mean me. But it's exciting that they are adding those in. The clocks that are on the top, one of them specifically you could completely see, and they should be connected sometime soon. But again, like I've mentioned, when the cathedral opens 4 weeks from today, there will still be a lot of work going on. There will be work going on for the next 3 to 4 years around the outside of Notre Dame. Still to do work on the backside, which we'll talk about when we get back there, but also to do work on the outside and adding trees. This whole part on the south side there, along between where you see the sacristy, that little tiny building, the sacristy and the Seine is below us there. They're going to do work on that whole park, basically uniting the front side here with the center and the back, which is the Place Ile-de-France, which is where the Deportation Museum is. So, and planting a whole bunch more trees. There'll be trees parked where you see those hedges, which is probably Rat Haven. There are going to be trees here, more trees on the other side. So it's going to be really beautiful, but it's going to take the next few years. And also another thing they're supposed to be also doing is putting in, this is Hôtel Dieu, which is the hospital, which is for the most part empty, except for emergency services. But they are going to do a huge museum, and they're dedicated to Notre Dame, which was the plan since before the fire. So hopefully maybe they already have a team of people frantically working on that, because a lot of the things that have been discovered through because of the fire and through the restoration, also things that are now in the architecture museum, those things will hopefully all come over here, as well as when they take the stained glass out in those two chapels that they are replacing controversially with contemporary windows. The old windows will come out and they will put those into the museum. So hopefully that happens in the next few years as well. The windows itself, the designers have been picked, but they will reveal when it opens in 4 weeks. They will reveal the drawings of what those are going to look at like. Some people are still pretty upset about that, so we will see what happens. I also don't love the idea, but we'll see. I'll wait to render my judgment. One thing I really don't care for is the new reliquary they are making for the Crown of Thorns. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it's, what have been seeing is all of these digitally rendered versions of it. So we'll see when we get there. But I like the Viollet-le-Duc one. But, as a friend of mine said about a fellow friend, he always describes us as the two old guys in the Muppets in the balcony. I'm okay with that. I'm really okay with that. But I am just so happy that we're going to get back inside. So whatever the chairs are and whatever anything else that they're putting that's more contemporary, I don't care. I'm just so excited to get back inside. And I'm so excited I'll get to share it with you. So let's go take a little walk around and see what else is going on. And I also have something special for you at the very end of this. So make sure you tune in until the very end. Something very special that has never been seen by the public before this week. So let's go head around and see what else we could find. We still have a few leaves holding on here, but it gives it a beautiful fallish, spooky look to the facade. Another thing that they just released a story about this week when it was on the 1 month to go date is about the investigation into the fire. And that's probably something that every single person asks me when I do tours around the island. Let's look at the doors. Is a lot of people have asked what's going on with the investigation, and they said that they are close to wrapping that up. They've been working on it, of course, for the last 5 years. And back in June of 2019, the prosecutor named Remy Ans said that they could already tell then it was not a volunteer fire, meaning it was not arson, it was not set specifically, and they were leaning to it being a cigarette butt or malfunctioning electrical. I think most everybody has their money on the cigarette butt. It is France after all, and they do love their cigarettes. But they said that they have been working on a 3D rendering of the fire, and so they will know exactly where it started and how it spread and where, and have a specific timeline down to the second. So they still are working on that before they will render the final decision. The wall constantly changes. This little part here that's kind of jut out was not here a few days ago. And then we'll go down a little bit, and there is another new part of it where it's been cut out, and they have like a little door added in there. But look at that. I just love. Sometimes you just look up and find a perfect little silhouette. When I did come by here yesterday afternoon, and it was crazy how busy it was. So these mornings, really, it is kind of the best time to be around here because you don't have to deal with any of the crowds, and it's really great. But we're gonna head down the side just a tad bit. So not much change from week to week on this side, because this is again the scaffolding that takes them up and down the church. So it has a elevator in there, plus the stairs, which, whew, could you imagine if somebody said, hey, could somebody run down and get me another chisel and bring it right back up? I'd be like, just throw a rope down and I'll tie it to the rope and send it back up. But it's Sunday, and so Sunday is the day that they do not work on it, ever. So with the opening, on the Saturday night, on December 7th, is when they will do the ceremony, the opening ceremony. The third opening ceremony of the year here in Paris is, we're calling it. And there's rumors of it being a star-studded occasion. And the biggest rumor out there is that Paul McCartney will be here for it. Not the Pope. Pope's not coming, but Paul McCartney might. We don't know yet for sure. But that is when the President of France will be there to hand off the keys. Apparently, that's going to be outside in front of the cathedral. And then he will go inside and make a speech, which is the part that the Catholic faithful aren't too thrilled about. But again, this is a church. It's a consecrated church, but it is owned by the government. The country owns this Notre Dame. But we'll wait to see what happens. But I can pretty much guarantee that he will be speaking. So this little part here is new. This little new door cut out. So the back of the church, after it opens in 4 weeks, the work that will happen is back here on the Chevet side, and also the buttresses. They will do cleaning of the stones and restore anything else here on the back. These pinnacles have all been restored that you could see, which back, I think in, was that August, September, that they were slowly unveiled. So there's a lot of, they haven't really done much of anything on the back of the church, on the lower back, which again is the oldest part of the church, because the church, when they built it, starting in the 1160s, they started it from the back and moved up. I am going to miss all of these wonderful plaques that they have had here. But you can just see the difference with the stone. And all of that scaffolding. So the scaffolding that goes all the way up the side will hopefully come down in the next few months. They are already, they'll see a little bit better from the other side, but some scaffolding is being added to reach back up to do the spire open work. Because the scaffolding that was around the spire reached all the way down and into the ground, to the center of the church. So it stretched all the way through the church. So when they went to finish and install the altar, to reinstall the altar, all the marble and the flooring, they had to take it down. So taking it down meant that it also came off of the roof. So they are slowly putting it back up. You could kind of see a little bit of it there, but again, we'll see it a little bit better from the other side. And I'm not sure about all of the temporary offices here on the back side. Somebody sent me a message asking. I'm assuming it's probably the next 6 months, some of that'll come down, because they've made some smaller ones, as we saw in the last couple of weeks, on the south side. And They are down to between 500 to 600 people working each day. But over time, it's been more than 2,000 people. 250 different companies and 2,000 people have worked on it. And all those names, again, are in the rooster of Notre Dame. It's the morning, all the pigeons are out before the wonderful street cleaners are cleaning up. Let's go out to this side so you can get a better view. It's not too cold, but it looks like we'll get a little colder this week. Look at that. So the special thing I'm going to share at the end is from a new exhibit that is at the Orsay that just opened this week. And there's two special exhibits. It's very small, but the one I'm going to share with you had two amazing pieces that were hand done by Viollet-le-Duc for the decoration of the chapels, never before shown to the public. And I got some great video of all of it. I was the first person in there. I went that morning, and I went straight up there, and the little stanchion was closed in front of it, and I was like, oh. And there's 3 of the Orsay museum guards there, and I was like, c'est fermé? And they were like, oh. He said, oh no. And he is like, pour le chapelle? And I was like, oui. So he let me in, and he said I was the first, and he'd bring me champagne. I didn't get any champagne, but I was pretty excited to be the first one in there. So I made a video, but I had to stop it and start it a few times, because whenever they have those new exhibits, which I love because all of the museum staff are always wanting to come in and look at it themselves. So that's always fun to see that they also get excited about seeing these videos, or not the videos, seeing these exhibits, but they're also really loud. I get to go into the Orsay as a member before it opens to the public, and I've been, of course, in many parts of the Louvre when it's closed or early in the morning and people aren't there, and I come strolling through, and the guards are just catching up over a weekend, from the weekend, or what they did the night before, and they're always very loud. Look at those birds. So here we are on this side. Oh, here's a great little view, because you could also see the spire of Saint-Sulpice, or sorry, Saint-Chapelle. It's early. But the morning really is the absolutely best time to be out in Paris, especially a Sunday morning. Those tents, the little market they had here has been removed, but the Christmas markets will start to open here over the next few weeks, definitely by the end of the month. And the lights on the streets will be turned on soon. And I will be bringing you some video from the department store windows as well. Those are just all being unveiled. Look at that. How perfect in fall can you get with that view? Now if only those were the firemen running up. It's early. Chances are good we might see it. But here, we'll get closer to, but you can see the scaffolding that just goes there, kind of in the little, there you go. Just right there in between the transepts between the south and the east transept. You can see that they're building up that scaffolding. It's also on the other side. It's gonna have to go farther up as well, because that part that you see covered with the tarp, that's with the same image of the open work, that all has to be covered. But that will actually happen pretty quickly, because all of that open work has been created, shaped, ready to go. So they just pretty much put it into place, make it watertight, and then it'll be ready to go. And then hopefully the beginning of the year, the statues will come back. I had somebody put a comment on the last week's video saying that they had seen that the statues are back, that they found it on Google. But no, they are not back. It might have been what they saw was a picture or a video of them coming off. And I just recently saw actually one of the establishments of Notre Dame shared a video of St. Thomas, which is the patron saint of architects. Also, he is the face of Viollet-le-Duc. They showed a picture of him flying through the sky on a crane, but that was actually when he was removed. So those are what kind of get everybody confused, and you know, we don't stop to read things anymore. So that's what I love, each and every one of you that watch this, that you're taking the time to watch and learn a little bit more about our beloved cathedral that we love so much, instead of just getting a 2-second soundbite and sometimes incorrect information. There's so much incorrect information about Notre Dame, especially about the opening. So please make sure you're following me, and also on my Instagram, Claudine Bleu Blanc Rouge, and also my newsletter, which you can sign up at ClaudineHemingway.com, because I will be giving you all of the updated, correct information about the opening as it comes out from the direct sources. I'm also so excited to share that I will have been invited to something that is happening with the opening in those first few days. And I cannot wait. So I will share that with everybody, of course. But I am so honored to be invited to that, and I cannot wait. But here you could see it there. We can't really see the clock on this side. And they are still adding pieces of the banister up there. But see, isn't this just the perfect time to be out and exploring Paris? In 4 weeks. I mean, did we think 5 years ago we were going to be at the point where we could say that? 4 weeks? And when we get down to, when we are counting days, like when we get down to single-digit days, I'll just be flipping out, which will be New Year's Eve. Or no, end of November. I don't even know what time it is anymore. Or what month we're in. I guess that would be the end of November. Not New Year's Eve. But the church will still be, hold Mass. They will be having a special Mass, especially that first week. Every single day they have for the opening, on the 7th, which is not open to the public. They have invited multiple 5 members of every church here in Paris, representatives, and they have very specific, they have to be, you know, you have to have somebody that's newly baptized, so, and then somebody that's maybe their pick of like one of their older parishioners that's been a part of that church for a long time. It's really interesting and amazing how they are going to do it. So, well, they might be rumored that, you know, a few celebrities might be here. Hopefully not too many. And this isn't going to turn into some ridiculous Instagram influencer moment, because it is still a church. But since the diocese isn't too thrilled with having the president in, I'm sure hopefully they will keep it from being filled. But look at all the scaffolding on this side. Look at how fantastic. That lower part, they'll do work. So the buttresses, the braces under the buttresses, the second and third have been removed. Some, a little tour de France thing going on here this morning. And this last Monday, they changed the traffic in the 1st through the 4th, just on the right bank. So you can no longer just be driving through unless you are shopping or coming to dinner, a theater, a doctor's appointment, of course, delivery, taxi, etc. But they are changing it, and they're being pretty lenient the first 6 months while everybody gets used to it. I'm not sure how they're controlling that, but they will eventually be giving tickets. But what I have noticed is the traffic on this side has gotten worse. This is the left bank I'm standing on right now. But it has gotten a little bit worse on this side. But around the Louvre, the Rue de Rivoli, etc., they already had a lot of rules in there of the cars that could go through there. So, and not even people just driving through could go. It had to be delivery, etc., taxi. But here's more scaffolding going up that little crevice. I also, if you saw some of my photos with the new iPhone, the Apple Intelligence came out, so you could erase things. So I've been erasing the cranes in some of my pictures, and I post a post in there that I erased the crane. But it's going to be strange to get to a point where you don't see any of the cranes. So there they are, building that up. And the scaffolding in front of so that little, kind of where the little eaves are there, the little house, is where the clock is. And so last week that clock was completely revealed, and now it's covered up again. But here is, so that's the part they still have to do. So I'll take you over here to the corner, because I always seem to stop before I reach this corner. But this actually is a great view of the side. Zoom in on the other great thing with it, with the getting close to the completion of the inside, is all of the great things coming out in the media, but also magazines, newspapers, everything. And so of course I have to have them all to get all the information. But I think I laugh every time I do that. The other day on the 1 month date, the Parisian newspaper had Notre Dame on the cover, and then the first 3 pages were stories, and also like a little picture. It's kind of pointing out to what is to come and what's finished. And of course I had to buy that, but I basically cut out the rest of it, just keeping those front pages. But my grandparents used to do that, and they'd save everything from the major events. And so when I was packing up the house and going through things to move to Paris. There was even newspapers from like the end of World War II and all of that. And it was so hard to decide what to do with them. I thought, maybe the Historical Society, we'd want them, and they didn't. And of course, we couldn't really save them. And then and now I do this with Notre Dame. So, someday maybe somebody will be excited to have them. They could put them here into the museum. So here we have the copy of Our Lady, Our Lady of the Pillar. And this is a copy of it. The original was in Saint Germain-l'Auxerrois for the last 5 years. And the other day she left on her pilgrimage across France, being placed in some noteworthy cathedrals around the country. And she is coming back here on the 15th at 7 p.m. is when she should be arriving here. And then we'll do a ceremony and take her inside the church. And with the marking of that is when, after that, this is when we will start to see the return of the art, the sculptures, the paintings. Can't wait. The new chairs. All of that is going to be coming back here into the church. So it's going to be exciting to get to see that. And hopefully they will announce when that is going to be happening. We know when the statue will be coming back, but when they bring things back, like the furniture and everything, they're going to be trucks that drive them in there. It won't be a procession that we could see, but it will, I'm sure, be on the news the day they do it. But hopefully I will be able to run down here and check it out and share it with you all. So now don't leave. Make sure you stick around here and watch the little video I made inside the Orsay. This exhibit, you could go see. It is in place until March, and it will be, I'll put details down below. It's going to be on the second floor, the terrace, on the south side of the Orsay, so up above. Inside the South 69. The other one that I will share on another date is up on the 5th floor, and it's just before the in-between. It's in the post-impressionist section. It's in the little cabinet of photography and drawings, which they frequently change out. And it's right in between the Gauguin and some of the post-impressionists. So go to Orsay and check that out if you're here between now and March. And I'm really excited in 2 weeks to go and see the new exhibit that's going to be opening in the Cluny Museum that is about a lot of the things that they have found here in Notre Dame during the construction. So hang on, don't go anywhere, and check this video out now. And thanks so much. I waited a second for those guys to leave. Okay, so these are the two pieces. And if you're going to be in Paris over the next few months, you have got to come and see this. This is on the second floor. So the upper terrace on the south side of the museum. So not a lot of people come up here. But these are two huge drawings the Viollet-le-Duc did. And these are for the chapel of Saint Ferdinand, which you see up there, which is on the north side. And he did these for each of the chapels. These have never been seen by the public before. And it is amazing. And these are all, this is Viollet-le-Duc himself drew all of this. And what's also amazing is you have his handwritten notes in here. Look at how gorgeous this is. Like, can I just have this as wallpaper? Can somebody just make me wallpaper of all of the chapels of Notre Dame? There's another exhibit as well on the 5th floor in what is usually like the little cabinet of photography. It also sometimes has dot drawings. And these are some more drawings by Auguste Maurice Ordeau of Notre Dame, Sainte Anne Chapel, Saint Pierre, And then this photograph, 1874. So, Charles Marville. And look at that. So we're waiting for those statues to be returned and for all of that open work right there to be covered in lead. But look at, it's the same cross that we have back on the church now. And you see across the bridge. And here's another close-up. And that sculpture had to be completely redone. There's the elephant. Okay, somebody has messaged me in the last year asking where the elephant is. And there it is. So it's looking into the west side of the church. And I love this drawing. Henri Rivière, he did a book of 78 views of Notre Dame. Love that. And this is always here in the collection, but it moves around a lot. And it's this painting by Maximilien Lucy, Pointillism of Notre Dame. But this is just amazing. And now on this side you have a lot of Saint-Chapelle. More, this is an amazing drawing of the tree of Jesse, which is behind the altar. Look at that. Just absolutely amazing. So make sure you come and check this out at the Orsay. Goes until, I believe, February. So you have a while, but go see Notre Dame when it opens and then come here. Merci, merci. Thank you so much for joining me today as we take a little look around Notre Dame with just 4 weeks to go. Can you believe it? If you're coming to Paris, do make sure you message me, email me at claudine@claudinehemingway.com if you want to do a tour. And it is getting really busy at the start of the year in December, specifically because so many people are coming for Notre Dame. So, and I can't wait to share more with you. So check it out. Also, don't forget to listen to the podcast because the episode on tomorrow will be about 1 month ago and even more details on some of the great stuff here. So check it out. All the links are below and I'll see you next weekend.